Alright, back again. We're going to look at another CSEC past paper question, and what we have here is a June 2016 multiple choice information technology paper. Right, so we're going to go through them, and we're going to look at the first 1 to 20 questions, and then we do another part 2 to the remaining questions. So let us start here. It says keyboards, speakers and CD drives are what here? We know keyboards to be input device, we know speakers to be output device, and we know CD drives can be used to store data, right? But when we combine all of these devices, we could say that they are all peripheral devices. So they are all peripheral devices. So they are devices that are connected to your system unit, right? So we're going to randomly select the questions. 6, it says what type of management occurs when the operating system undertakes communication between a printer and the system unit. So we're looking at connecting a printer to your system unit, and we know that the printer represents output. What will come from your system unit is the inputs or the user inputs, right? So we could say the type of management that will occur here is an input to output management system here. Question 2 says scanning an input device or input. Scanning an input at a computerized checkout station in a supermarket is an example. So scanning is the process of input. So the data is going to be input into the computer system here. So it's going to be input. 7. It says which of the following has the largest data storage capacity? So we know that magnetic devices such as your hard drive consist of more memory capacity here than flash drives or optical drives. So the optical drive that they refer to here is your CD drive, which refers to CD or DVD. So those consist of a lower end memory. So the hard drive would be have a higher memory because it can go into terabyte. Right, you can have 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, etc. So we're going to look at part 3 over here. Question 3. It says the arithmetic logic unit ALU is part of what? The control unit, the read-only memory, your central processing unit, or your random. Remember we said that the central processing unit consists of 2 parts, your ALU and your control unit. So the arithmetic logic unit is part of your central processing unit. Part 8 here, our question 8 says which of the following primary storage devices can be programmed only once? So what we have here is random access memory, and we have PROM, which stands for programmable read-only memory. So the part which says PROM stands for programmable read-only memory, which means that that your device can be programmed only once. EPROM, however, which stands for erasable programmable read-only memory, means that you can erase and reprogram the storage device. And EEPROM stands for electronically erasable programmable read-only memory, and it can be programmed as many times. So only once would be PROM. The binary equivalent of the decimal number 7 is. So 7 can either be divided by 2, or we can use the decimal equivalent value here. So we know that the first digit represents a 1, the second represents a 2, and the other represents a 4. So our binary equivalent for the decimal number 7 would be 111. So it is 1, 2, and 4. 4 plus 2 is 6, and 1 7. Let us move over here. It says here for question 9, the time taken by the read or write head to locate and transfer data is known as your seek time. Seek time refers to locating. It needs to find the data, so it's going to consider that process as the seek time, the time it takes for it to locate and transfer the data. Here, moving over here, 5. It says, which of the following is most suitable for printing building plans? So building plans like architectural drawings. So we'd use a printer which is known as your plotter. So it's a large printer. Laser can be used to print documents at high speed, and we have that matrix printer, we have thermal printer, but for architectural drawing we use a plotter. To use a program stored on a flash drive, it must be transferred into what first? And remember we said originally that all processed data must take place in your random access memory or your main memory. So to program, for a program to be stored on a flash drive, it must be transferred first to your random access memory, RAM. So moving down, 11. It says a diskette is divided into a number of concentric circles called, or we call those circles tracks. Random again, 16. In the URL http://shoes.com represents what here? So we know that in this URL, the part that represents shoes.com is going to represent your domain name, right? So it's from your domain name server, and that can represent an IP address for the site that you are on. So your site, shoes.com, here is going to represent a domain name. Going down, it says, which of the following user interfaces or devices is best suited for a visually impaired person? So a visually impaired person could use a Braille keyboard. So it's a keyboard that has raised impressions on it, so the person could feel his or her way around for the characters. So a Braille keyboard is best suited for a visually impaired person. 17. Programs that duplicate the knowledge and diagnostic skills displayed by humans performing specialized tasks are referred to as, so the programs out there would call those programs experts, right? So the expert system here is going to duplicate the knowledge and diagnostic skill displayed by humans to perform specialized tasks. So it has a list of vast knowledge. So it's going to compare the data and predict an outcome from it. Alright, so 13, it says laser beam technology is used by and we said optical disc. So optical disc could be referred to as your CD or your DVD, right? So those devices would use laser to read and write to the disk, right? So your optical disc. Move over to the next. It says the use of the information and communication technology, ICT, to conduct meetings at different locations is called. So the integration of your information and communication technologies, that could be your microphone, your speakers, your webcam, your computer, all of those devices that you would use to conduct meeting is called teleconferencing. The use of all of this to conduct meeting in different locations. So we could do a teleconference. Right? Telecommuting is more of you working from home without having to travel. It says, which of the following prefixes which relate to bytes are arranged from the smallest to the largest? So we know that the smallest data here are byte. It's kilobyte, right? So we start from kilobyte, then you move to megabyte, then from megabyte you'll go to gigabyte, and then from gigabyte to terabyte. Terabyte being the largest and giga being the smallest. Transferring data from a remote computer to your computer is referred to as downloading. Which of the following provides transmission of data in both directions at the same time? In both directions at the same time, we refer to that as full duplex. So full duplex, both direction and at the same time, and half duplex is both direction but not at the same time. And simplex is in only one direction only. Scrambling of messages before sending is called encryption. So encryption is where you scramble the messages before sending. Telecommuting can be best described as working from home by connecting home and office. So working from home by connecting home and office means that you don't have to travel. You can hook up your computer system via the internet and you can stay at home and work as if you were at the office. 25 here says, which of the following is detected by the use of a pressure sensor? So for a pressure sensor, we could say we could detect weight from pressure sensor. So you have to apply a force here. It says a webmaster is important to the company because he or she is going to be responsible for the company's website. So a webmaster is going to create the website or the web pages and is going to be responsible for that task. 26 here says the illegal copying, distribution or sale of proprietary software is known as. So once you are doing anything illegal, copying or distribution or sale, we know that it's piracy. And because you are looking at software here, we're going to consider this to be a software piracy. So it's the illegal copying and distribution of software. It says here, continue, in an algorithm. 27. Item price is a variable used to store the price of a grocery item. The most appropriate data type used for item price is, so item price is a variable and we want to select a data type for it. Item price is a variable used to store price, and we know that price can consist of decimal value, right? So the best option to represent this per item price is to set it as a real number. So continue over here, 23. It says any unauthorized person is allowed to view another person's name by merely providing a phone number to a service representative at a telephone company. This is an example of, we could consider this to be fraud, and because the person is using the computer or is providing a phone number to a representative in a telephone, so once you're using a device, in this case we consider it to be computer fraud. It says, which of the following types of documents is used for the initial, so the initial recording of initial recordings of data relating to business transaction? We consider those to be source documents, right? Or we call them source code. So we could call that your source, your initial recording here. So a source document called initial, your first document. Which of the following checks is not a validation technique? So we have validation and verification. So validation check could be a range check, inconsistency check, or a reasonableness check. Double entry is a verification check, which ensures that the person enters the data twice, which is going to be matched against your original source document. Alright, so 29 here. Which of the following is a sequential access medium? So we know that for sequential, it means that we must go through in a order, logical order, right? So we could say magnetic tape. To read the information, we have to go through in a sequential order. Floppy disk, you could go random or access random or direct, compact, same thing. And we don't know anything about a Winchester disk. So that's a distractor there. 30. Which of the following is not an example of commercial data processing? So in commercial data processing, you can have budgeting, invoice processing, and payroll. All of that relates to commercial. But for forecasting hurricanes, that's not an example. While entering text in a word processing document, Michelle noticed that each new letter entered was replacing the previous one. The mode activated in this case is, we could consider to be a type over here. It says in computing, word wrap refers to basically placing a text around a graphic. Right? Placing text around a graphic. 36 here, it says that thumbnail image on a web page is used to what? So a thumbnail image is going to represent a smaller version of a larger image. So we could say I only. Which word processing feature must John use if he wants to include his company's logo in the bottom margin of every page. In the bottom, you would use a process known as footer. Header, you use it at the top. So 37, you have noticed the characters, the third. Which of the following formatting features should be used to create that? We could say superscript. Goes to the top. Subscript, it would be written at the bottom. While typing a document, it may be necessary to change the height of the characters. Which word processing feature should be used? We could consider that to be your font size. That's where you go to change the size of the fonts or the characters. 38. Which of the following types of software should be used for application that involve repetitive numerical calculation? So we know our spreadsheet is used for calculations. When text is aligned with both the left and right margins at the same time, this is called justified alignment. So we are at 39. In what form is data stored in a database? So in a database, all data must be stored first in a table. 40. In creating a query, a student entered the following criteria for the date field. So notice here it says greater than and equal to the 5th of the 11th 2011, and the date must be less than or equal to the 5th of the 14th 20. So the first part here is saying that the date must be greater or equal, or we say before, and this one is saying that the date must be after and be less than. So it's after means the greater than sign means after this date, and the less than means before. So we are looking at greater than 11 means that the date would be the 12th, the 13th, right? So our selection here means that we will select between the 11th and the 14th of May 2011 here. So we're going to take a break here from question 1 to 40. So we're going to continue the remaining after this.